Hello lovely people, it's Nicola here in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I live in British Columbia, Canada. As you can probably tell from the accent, I'm a transplant from Britain, one of the very small British Isles. But we've lived here for a really long time. We moved here in 1994. I thought I'd wait a little longer between vlogs this time because I wanted to actually have something worth showing, because some of my projects are a little bigger and slower now, but I have inserted a couple of quick ones as well. So I've got quite a bit to show you. First, let's talk about the granny square pants. The Smarty pants pattern from Yarnspirations is what I will be following once it comes to laying out these squares, but I'm doing my own granny square. And I have 16 towards what I think will be 56. So only 40 to go. They don't take long. It's a couch project. Last night I followed a recommendation from my sister for a Netflix series called One Day. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically the relationship of a man and a woman starting on the 15th of July. I think it was 1988, the first one. And so it just picks up on their lives every July the 15th, year by year. So I binge watched, I think, 7 episodes last night. So nobody tell me how it ends, okay? Because my sister has said, oh, the ending, it's so emotional. I'm absolutely drained from watching the last episode. I'm like, don't tell me what happens. So the nice thing about, of course, Netflix and crochet is that the crochet goes really quickly. Even the tails, I have woven in my tails on each one as I've been going. I'm impressed with myself. In other news, we have a third Nottawasaga Buff. This guy is using up some neon stash. I meant to bring the cardigan that I made to show you. Maybe I'll get no, I'll go get it. Give me a second. Whew. Okay, a second for you, a minute for me. Luckily I found it where I thought it was. So I had this idea that I wanted to have a grey cardigan with some neon accents. Thought I'd have something at the sleeves. Wasn't sure what else I was going to do. Anyway, this was, I think, possibly last year. I'm so unfit, I'm out of breath. But I bought some inexpensive grey acrylic, and I bought some of the Craft Smart neon from Michael's in the pink and the orange. And I made myself a long cardigan on my Bond knitting machine. The back of it looks like this. And the pockets look like this. So it goes down probably mid-calf on me. It's heavy. And it worked out how I wanted, except that I wasn't 100% happy with the sleeves, because I did a basic drop sleeve where I did no shaping for the side of the body. I just cast on my Bond and I knitted 2 rectangles for the front, big one for the back, and I figured out sleeve shaping. What I should have done really is at least done a modified drop where it came in a little bit here, because it does a weird thing under the arms, which I'm not 100% happy about. And I washed and dried it in the machines to see if it would soften up and drape better, but it doesn't really, and I haven't really worn it. It's tempting just to frog it and make something else with the yarn, but I haven't decided on that yet either. So I had a little bit of this neon, well, I had quite a bit of this neon left actually. So that's why I made the Nottawasaga Buff in these colours. And then because I had some left, I had to make a matching beanie. it's matching in the colors. It's not matching in stockinette. It's actually crochet, half double crochet, just made in joined rounds and striped, kind of depending on how much yarn I had. And then the last few rounds just single crochet to bring it in a little bit, and I did a few decreases in there just to hug the head a bit better. There was no pattern for that. So that, the very, very bright set. Not for me. I'll probably take it downtown next time I'm there and leave it for somebody to pick up who needs it. I think we're over the worst of the cold this winter. We had it down to like -29 for a week. And just this week past, we had it down to about -10. But I'm pretty sure that's probably the last of the extreme cold now. But that was good. That used up all of my neon stash. So I'm really pleased to get that out of the stash and into something usable, if garish. It hasn't been a super productive few days on the sewing. I've been playing with a couple of ideas rather than actually making a whole bunch of stuff. And, you know, that tends to waste time because you're reinventing the wheel all the time. But because I had a bunch of little denim squares from where I had made denim bags and cut the corners out to box the bottoms, I thought, surely those little 2-inch squares don't have to go to waste, and all the other little scraps that I have. So I collected up the 2-inch squares, plus trimmed a few other bits down, and I made this bag. But I feel like this is basically a free bag because I used bits that probably would otherwise have been thrown away. I put a little tab on the side with a rectangle thing on it. And what I did is I cut a piece of interfacing, fusible interfacing, non-woven, and I laid out the squares and I pressed them all down to it so that they were all stuck down, but overlapping slightly. And then I went and stitched the edges. What I should have done with hindsight is I should have stuck with the, I don't know if you can see it, but I used a wavy stitch to go one way. And then what I should have done is use the same wavy stitch to go the other way. And I thought I would try and save thread by just doing a straight line. But then I ended up doing 3 straight lines because I wasn't catching all the edges down. So that wasn't so brilliant. I did a crazy purpley lining on it, a purple zipper, and a boxy bottom. And I'm really pleased with that. So that's another thing for the collection to go in the Farmers and Crafters market pile. The one batch sewing I did this week were some double pen pouches. Now these are some things I made at Christmas or coming up for Christmas for friends because I saw them on Christine's Home Affairs channel. She did a tutorial for these and I thought, these are awesome. I want to make more. So basically the premise is it's a little vertical pouch that holds 2 pens in it. It has elastic on the back and you just put it around a journal or notebook and keeps your pens handy. So I made 10 of them, which is fairly straightforward. I did shorten the elastic a little bit. I made the elastic it was supposed to be 10 inches and I made it 9.5 just to fit slightly smaller notebooks because it can still stretch to fit a larger one. So I made a sparkly one and a knitting themed one. This was an awesome way to finish up some smaller pieces of fabric I had lying around. I made a gardening themed one in the green. I also have some of that in yellow. And then, oh, this one, I really love this one. This is so pretty. It was sort of a horizontal stripes of pattern in this fabric. So I put the sort of curlicues on the pocket and the back, and then the other part of the fabric on the inside, but you can only really see a teeny bit of it. but so pretty. And then I had an Eastery one. This one, of course, by the time I do the market, Easter will be long gone. But I had this fabric and I made sure to cut it out so the rabbit was positioned well. And there's the toucan fabric again, which you'll probably have seen before. And then this was a beautiful beach themed fabric, absolutely gorgeous. This is the same range as the big project bag I'm using for my scarf for Mr. Stitches. Yes. And then this was a gorgeous fabric, which was sort of an Indian theme. It had Indian bowls of rice and slippers and a couple of other coordinates. I bought it from Wool Warehouse a long time ago. I don't buy fabric online very often, but I wanted the Indian theme because I was planning on making something for my sister, and she's been to India quite a few times. And I have this little scrap left, and so boom, another one. And then this is the beach theme again. The theme is the beach huts and the surfboards. And this coordinate, or this one, has a coordinate that's camper vans. And I would have loved to have fitted a camper van on the front of this, but it was just too big to work well. So that's 10 more products going in the pile. One of the things I completely distracted myself this weekend, because, you know, this is what happens. I have a certain amount of works in progress, and then I see something and I go, oh, I have to make that. Or I see a reason why I have to make something else. And this was just a one-day project, although I have to say the crocheting of it got my wrist hurting again. But a friend of mine had her dog put down last week, and I was wanting to make her something. And I was thinking I could make her a positive potato or an emotional support pickle or something like that. But in the end, I made her a puppy. She doesn't know about it yet. The pattern is called Sunshine the Golden Retriever, and she did not have a golden retriever. Her dog was a black and white border collie, but that was the yarn I had, and I think it's cute. And I put a little heart ribbon around its neck, and it says, emotional support puppy, everything's going to be okay. And so I hope she likes it. I love using the safety eyes. I only have a small amount of those in my sewing room, and I tend to be very careful where I use them because they're sort of precious, because I don't want to just use them on anything. But they really do work well. I mean, they just look so much nicer than embroidered eyes. Yeah, so I found that on Ravelry, and I'll make sure to link that one underneath in the description box. I've had a little bit more of a challenge with another denim bag I wanted to try. My guideline to myself was that I just wanted to use the bottom part of a denim leg, jeans leg, without cutting it. So I would just cut a chunk off, cut the hem off, and use the piece of tube without having to cut it and seam it or do anything else to it. And so I did that. I cut off a chunk of a denim leg, and then I just laid it on some quilt cotton, folded quilt cotton, cut around it with 1/2 inch extra on the bottom and sides, and then added about 1.5 inches on the top, because I wanted the quilt cotton to peek out over the denim when it was finished so that you could see it from the right side. That worked out great. So that's what I had when I had done it. The leg is intact. I boxed the bottom. The quilt cotton I seamed, and amazingly, it fitted in the top perfectly. I was gobsmacked, I can tell you. And what I thought I would do is use the boxing of the bottom to add in these tabs with the rectangle rings, so that the drawstring that went round the top could then tie somehow into these. And it would be a really cute little denim type backpack, very small, but sometimes all you need is something small to keep your stuff in. I even put a little slip pocket on the inside. And that was going great until I decided to figure out the grommets. And I played with my new grommet set. and I was not impressed with the tool. This thing here is supposed to cut the hole. You put it on your fabric, you whack it with a hammer. I always use a cutting mat underneath, but then I tried it as well with a wooden block because that's what the leaflet was showing. And it was not cutting very well. Mr. Stitches did a little bit of sharpening on it, but even then it was not cutting through the fabric. So I was not very impressed. So anyway, I cut the hole out on a test piece and I used the tool on it. The tool works fine. You have the grommet nice side down here and your fabric and your washer, and you put that on and you whack it. That part works all right. So I did try it on a spare piece of fabric, and then I tried it on my bag. Well, it looks all right from the outside, but there's a little loop of something coming out. I may have whacked it too hard because on the back of the grommet, it kind of broke right there, like the middle part, the shaft of the shaft of the grommet comes down and squishes out around the washer, right? So I may have just used a bit too much force because I used, instead of my little craft hammer, I used a big sucker from my husband's toolbox. And I may have overdone it. So I don't know whether to carry on and put the grommets where I've got the pins there. That was where I was going to put the grommets. I was going to put 6 in. I thought 8 would probably work better, but it's such a small bag that I would then use 8. And I wasn't sure whether to carry on and risk wasting them and have this be completely unusable or give up on it now. So that is still a I'm thinking about it project. I do like the idea of incorporating the tabs when you're sewing the boxed bottoms, and it actually worked out okay. Sometimes when you put a bulky tab in a seam, the seam looks really messy and you can see your stitching, but actually this worked really well. So yeah, as I say, everything worked great except for the grommets are making me unsure about the whole thing. And once you cut a hole in the fabric and put a grommet in, you're committed really, aren't you? I'm just thinking if I carry on and do the rest of the grommets, maybe I could find something like a clear something or other to dab right there on the bit that's a little bit sharp. Like I don't want people to have this and then be catching, say they put a yarn project in it and then they catch yarn or their project on that tiny little scratchy bit there. Murphy's Law says that's the very part that will brush against their project and spoil it. Maybe I'll try a dab of glue or something on it and then decide. Okay, so I'm sure I have said before that I didn't really want to buy a whole ton of stuff to make everything for the market because otherwise I'm not going to make a profit. And I know I said I was going to work from stash as much as possible, but there has been a new acquisition this week. When I was shopping at the fabric store not far away, I met my friend there. We decided to meet there and shop together and have a nice chat while we were looking around to see what there was. And she told me she was putting an order in for some continuous zipper. Now, she uses now the number 5 continuous zipper, which is wider. Hang on, I'll go and get a number 3 so I can show you the difference. So this is a number 3 zipper. It has your typical, just a small pull and a 3mm wide set of teeth. Really, really easy to sew over and install. If you know what you're doing, I always think it's easy until it isn't, right? I know I've made a billion bags, but I still seem to be having challenges. What is with that? I don't know. I am now the proud owner of a bundle of number 5 continuous zipper. And it's not just any old continuous zipper. Look how pretty this is. It's got sections of green and blue and orange and pink and yellow. Because why not? If you're going to buy a zipper by the yard, might as well get something that will either go with everything or go with nothing. They have different ribbon colours. My friend went for beige because she tends to make a lot of neutral coloured things. Her style, shall we say, is a little bit more classy than mine. So I went for the rainbow one, of course. Now, this is 10 yards of zipper. It doesn't look like 10 yards, but I'm hoping it is because that's what I paid for. And it comes with 25 pulls. I haven't opened this yet, but I'll just see if I can show you without opening it. The pulls are quite nice because they're bigger, because with a wider zipper, you know, a bigger pull looks nice, and they've got quite a nice size hole in them. So what's handy with that is if I ever decided to put like a little tassel-y thing or charm on the zipper, it should fit really well on there. So the silver ones came with the tape as a pack. 25 of those. And the thing with continuous zipper is you might end up making, out of 10 yards, let me see, that's 30 feet. I can make 60 things out of that, and 25 pulls is definitely not going to be enough. So what did I do? I asked my friend to order me extra pulls. The silver ones were more expensive, so I just asked her to get me the black ones, and I've just noticed they're a slightly different style. But that's okay, it should work fine. So this is a pack of 50, I think. Yes, 50 black sliders. So I've now got 50 black and 25 silver and 10 yards of zipper. And I'm pretty sure that'll keep me going for a really long time. So I know I keep saying it, but hopefully that's it for a while, because if I keep spending money, I'm never going to be able to claw it back when I put my market stall out, am I? It's just going to be like, okay, I lost money that summer. I hope I don't lose money. You know, I mean, a lot of the thing with the market is it's the enjoyment of doing it. If you like the social aspect and you like to be out there talking to people and other vendors and that sort of thing, so that's part of it. But obviously, if you lose money, there's no fun in that, is there? I'm looking forward to trying that. I've also seen a really good tutorial. It's a very, very fast one. It was on Instagram, and I couldn't even tell you who did it. I did follow there. It was something to do with bag sewing, and they had a really, really fast reel where they showed you about 6 different ways of finishing the ends of zippers like this. But my friend has started to use one where, in order to make it nice and neat, because you don't really want to sew this into a seam. Oh, running out of voice. Obviously, I haven't drunk enough water today. You don't really want to sew this into a seam because it's kind of bulky, and it always looks nicer if it has a tab on the end or something like that. So what my friend's been starting to do is you fold it. Wow, it's really stiff. Don't want to do it in case I damage it. But you fold it down by an inch or so, and then you do a little diagonal seam towards the end where the teeth end. And then you flip it around and you get this neat little 90-degree thing. There's a couple of different ways of getting that 90-degree zipper teeth thing. There's tons of videos online about how to do it. Rosie of Rosie's Art Studio has a way of doing it with double-sided sticky tape. And other people just pin it, other people hand sew it. Either way, however way you do it, it's a nice way to do it, because as you're sewing your zipper in and finishing it off, the end of the zipper just gets tucked down in between the layers of your outer and your lining, and it looks really neat. I will be trying that. So with it being Family Day today, it's a public holiday in British Columbia. Happens every February. And so Mr. Stitches has a reprieve from the radiation today. It doesn't mean he misses it altogether because they'll just tack it on at the end. But it does mean he has a 3-day weekend where he doesn't get zapped or chemoed. He did have to pop down to the cancer centre anyway, though, because he still has to have his blood work done, because he always has blood work done the day before his chemo, his weekly chemo. And he has that tomorrow. His mouth is really sore now. He's managed to eat porridge and the meal replacement drinks and sort of soup broth for about the last week or two. And smoothies, runny smoothies, nothing thick. It's getting harder. His mouth is hurting more, and he thinks, even this morning he said that maybe the porridge might have to go now, because even though he's grinding up the quick oats even smaller, trying to make them as runny as possible, they're still causing issues. But we do only have 2 weeks to go. So even if he had to just live on meal replacement drinks, he'd survive the next 2 weeks. He could just up it to like 6 of them a day or something. And they're really the only thing he can have right now that doesn't hurt. His neck was looking really red this morning because the tumor is in here. And this is the spot where they have been zapping for the last 5 weeks. And sometimes his neck has looked a bit red, or his whole head has looked red. I mean, he's bald anyway. And sometimes he just looks like he's having a hot flash, right? Just like me. And he's definitely running hotter, like he's not having to wear a coat, or he's peeling off layers as we're going out for a walk. I'm like, wow, he knows what it's like to be menopausal now. But this morning, it was so red. Like, it looked like a really bad sunburn, but deeper, sort of like a purpley red. And I was like, oh, that looks horrible. But it's good probably that he didn't have to have it again today. But of course, he'll be back to regular schedule tomorrow. I nearly forgot. I had an interview with somebody this week. There's a woman I know who I used to see at the Ravelry knitting get-togethers that we used to have over 10 years ago. And there was a group of us who used to meet at a local coffee shop. I can't remember how often, maybe it was once a month, I'm not sure, because it was a long time ago. And I don't know why I stopped going, or if the group just stopped meeting, I can't remember. But I hadn't seen her for years. Every now and again, she'd come into the fabric shop where I worked and say hi and that sort of thing. But then I think she mentioned my vlog on her podcast, and I started subscribing to her podcast. And then I had an email from her recently and said, would I be willing to be interviewed for her podcast? I was like, sure, why not? So we did a Zoom call the other day, and she recorded it, and hopefully she's edited out some of the goofier parts of me talking about knitting and crocheting and sewing. And I think it's going to be on her podcast in the next couple of weeks. She's Rosberry Crafts, Rosberry Crafts, and she lives in the same valley I do. I live at one end of things, and she lives at the other end of things. So, you know, if I wanted to drive to her house, it'd probably take me like 40 minutes. But yeah, we're in the same area, and it's kind of fun. So hopefully you'll go and check that podcast or check her channel out. And yeah, that should be coming up. I think she said she had another interview she'd already done that would come up first, and that mine might be the week after next. So yeah, I'll leave a link to her channel underneath the video, as we all do, and you can go take a look. So because I've been talking this long, it's going to be a more organized vlog this week, because I know sometimes I'm filming a bit here and filming a bit there, and I'm adding in a bit here and adding in a bit there, and it takes me a few days to put a vlog together sometimes. But today, one session did it all. I was a good girl and I got my housework done before, and later on, when Mr. Stitches is thinking about doing our taxes, I have to sit in so that I can learn how to do it, because terribly I have always let him do it and I have no idea what to do. Not that I can't do it, it's that I haven't ever done it before. So I know I can, it's just I have to learn. Apart from that, I really need to get more sewing done. Not just faffing around sewing, but batch sewing something so that I can increase the pile of product that I have getting bigger over there on the desk. So I'll say thank you for watching and thanks for visiting my little channel. I hope you enjoyed what I had to show you today. I will be back in the not too distant future with another vlog. I seem to be able to talk a lot about very little sometimes. The braces come off in 9 days. Might not be off on the next vlog. I probably won't be able to resist filming until after that. So maybe in a couple of weeks, that vlog will have the reveal sans braces. Okay, I am just waffling on now, rambling, as they say. So thanks for watching again. Have a lovely week. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.